A sloth, a donkey, and a curious human. Send a prompt and see what they're doing. One hits record with a question on his mind. Two brothers pick it up, see what they find. Corn takes his time, Herman's got the facts. Back and forth, they never hold back. My weird prompts, come on in, that's where we begin. My weird prompts, glad you're here.
This episode was generated using artificial intelligence. Please verify facts.
Welcome to a special situational report from My Weird Prompts. I am Cord, and today is March 3rd, 2026. We are deviating from our regular programming to provide a structured briefing on the rapidly escalating conflict in the Middle East. Over the last 72 hours, the geopolitical landscape has shifted fundamentally following the initiation of operations Epic Fury and Roaring Lion. Joining me to break down the intelligence and provide a comprehensive analysis is our lead analyst, Herman. Herman, we are looking at a situation that many analysts are calling a total regional war. Before we dive into the specific military developments, can you give us an overview of where we stand as of 2348 Universal Coordinated Time today?
Korn, the situation is extremely volatile and is moving faster than most diplomatic channels can keep up with. We have moved past a contained exchange of strikes into a full-scale regional conflict. The primary catalyst was the confirmed decapitation of the Iranian leadership, which has triggered a massive multi-front retaliation from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. We are seeing significant military action across 9 different countries, a near total shutdown of global energy transit through the Persian Gulf, and a ground invasion in Lebanon that is expanding by the hour. We have confirmed reports from the Iranian state media outlet, the Islamic Republic of Iran news network, as well as international agencies like Reuters, that the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was killed in a precision strike on his compound. This is the most significant political shift in Iran since the 1979 revolution, and it has created a functional power vacuum that the interim leadership is struggling to fill.
Let us start there, with the leadership crisis in Tehran. We have heard names like Pezeshkian and Mohseni Ejai being part of an interim council. What do we know about the stability of this new government, and how are they managing the military response while mourning their top leadership?
The situation in Tehran is chaotic. Along with the supreme leader, we have confirmed the deaths of several other high-ranking officials, including Ali Shamkhani of the Supreme National Security Council, the Defense Minister General Aziz Nasirzadeh, and the Chief of Staff General Abdolrahim Mousavi. This was a coordinated strike designed to sever the head of the military and political command structure. In response, an interim leadership council has been formed consisting of President Masoud Pezeshkian, Chief Justice Gholam Hossein Mohseni Ejei, and Ali Reza Arafi. However, there are unverified reports of secondary strikes targeting members of this council, specifically Ayatollah Arafi. While those remain unconfirmed, the impact on the Iranian chain of command is evident. Despite this decapitation, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has demonstrated that its tactical commanders have pre-authorized launch orders. This is why we saw the immediate launch of Operation True Promise 4, which did not appear to require a centralized go-ahead from the supreme leader.
That brings us to the military response. The scale of True Promise 4 seems unprecedented compared to the previous iterations we saw in 2024. Can you walk us through the numbers and the targets?
The scale is indeed staggering. According to United States Central Command and reports from Al-Arabiya, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps launched over 420 missiles and drones. This was not just a strike on Israel, but a regional offensive targeting 27 United States bases and facilities across 9 countries. This includes Bahrain, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and even the United Kingdom Royal Air Force Base in Cyprus. We have confirmed significant impacts at Al Dhafra Air Base in the United Arab Emirates. Furthermore, the United States embassies in Riyadh and Kuwait City have reported damage. This suggests that Iran is no longer distinguishing between the United States and its regional partners who host United States forces. They are treating any territory housing United States assets as a legitimate target.
One of the most concerning reports from the last 24 hours involves a friendly fire incident in Kuwait. In the middle of a massive drone swarm, things went wrong between coalition partners. What can you tell us about the loss of the 3 Strike Eagles?
This is a prime example of the fog of war during a high-saturation drone and missile attack. During a chaotic engagement with an Iranian drone swarm over Kuwait, Kuwaiti air defenses engaged targets that they believed were hostile. Unfortunately, 3 United States F-15E Strike Eagles were caught in the crossfire and downed by Kuwaiti interceptors. The good news is that all 6 crew members successfully ejected and have been recovered safely by search and rescue teams. However, the diplomatic tension this creates is significant. Kuwait is in a very difficult position, trying to defend its own airspace while hosting United States assets that are being targeted by Iran. It highlights the extreme difficulty of integrated air defense when hundreds of slow-moving drones and high-speed missiles are filling the radar screen simultaneously.
While the air war rages, the Israel Defense Forces have significantly ramped up their ground operations in Lebanon. We are seeing reports of multiple divisions moving north. What is the strategic objective there, and what are the costs so far?
The Israel Defense Forces have received authorization for a full-scale ground invasion. Their stated goal is to neutralize Hezbollah launch sites that have been relentlessly targeting northern and central Israel. We are seeing Israeli divisions moving deeper into Lebanese territory than we have seen in decades. The Guardian and the Israel Defense Forces spokesperson have confirmed that at least 40 people have been killed in Lebanon in the last 24 hours as Hezbollah exchanges heavy fire with these advancing units. This is a high-intensity urban and mountain warfare environment. Hezbollah has spent years preparing these defensive positions, and the Israel Defense Forces are meeting significant resistance. The concern here is whether this ground advance will trigger Hezbollah to use its long-range precision missile arsenal against Tel Aviv, which would escalate the civilian casualty count even further.
Speaking of casualties, the numbers coming out of Iran are devastating. We have reports of a strike on a school that has caused a massive outcry. How are these figures being verified?
Verification is difficult, but the Iranian Red Crescent is reporting 787 people killed across the country since the start of the coalition campaign. The most tragic report involves a catastrophic strike on a girls' school in Tehran that reportedly killed 165 people. The coalition, led by the United States and Israel, claims they are targeting military infrastructure and nuclear sites. But in a city as densely populated as Tehran, the margin for error is razor thin. On the other side, the United States has confirmed the deaths of 6 service members, 4 of whom were from the 103rd Sustainment Command killed during a drone attack in Kuwait. Israel has reported 11 deaths, mostly from missile impacts in Tel Aviv and Beit Shemesh. The human cost is mounting on all sides, and the psychological impact on the civilian populations is profound.
Let us pivot to the global economic impact, which is perhaps where the rest of the world is feeling this conflict most directly. The Strait of Hormuz is effectively closed. What does that mean for the global energy market?
We are looking at a potential global economic shock. The Strait of Hormuz is the world's most important oil transit choke point, and maritime traffic is down 80%. Very large crude carrier rates have surged by 94%, reaching over $423,000 per day. Bloomberg and Goldman Sachs are reporting that Brent crude has spiked between 10 and 13% in just 24 hours, trading near $82 a barrel. Analysts warn it could easily clear $100 if this blockade persists. Perhaps even more significant is that Qatar Energy has officially halted all liquefied natural gas production. This has immediate implications for energy security in Europe and Asia. The United States Navy has begun organizing Operation Sentinel, to escort tankers, but insurance companies are hesitant to cover ships entering what is now a high-intensity combat zone.
President Trump has mentioned a timeline of 4 to 5 weeks for this conflict. Given the scale of the destruction and the Iranian retaliation, does that timeline seem realistic to you from an analytical perspective?
It is an ambitious timeline. It suggests that the United States believes it can degrade Iranian capabilities to the point of surrender or total collapse within a month. However, history shows that these types of conflicts often last longer than anticipated. Senator Marco Rubio has warned that the hardest hits are yet to come, which suggests that the coalition is moving from air defense and decapitation toward the destruction of hardened Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps bunkers and perhaps even broader civil infrastructure. If the goal is regime change, 4 to 5 weeks is a very short window. If the goal is simply to destroy the nuclear program and the missile infrastructure, it is more plausible. but the Iranian response suggests they are prepared for a long war of attrition.
You mentioned the nuclear program. We have reports of significant damage to Natanz and a secret site near Tehran. How much of a setback is this for Iran's nuclear ambitions?
Satellite imagery and reports from the International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors confirm that the primary entrances and ventilation shafts at the Natanz enrichment facility have been heavily damaged. This would effectively trap the centrifuges underground and halt enrichment for the foreseeable future. More interestingly, the Israel Defense Forces claim to have totally destroyed a previously undisclosed secret nuclear site on the periphery of Tehran. If true, this indicates a massive intelligence failure on the part of Iran and a significant success for coalition intelligence. However, the total destruction of a nuclear site carries environmental risks that we are still trying to assess.
On the diplomatic front, the Iranian Foreign Minister, Abbas Araghchi, has issued a very stern warning to Europe. What is the risk of this conflict spreading beyond the Middle East?
The risk is high. Foreign Minister Araghchi stated that any defensive involvement or logistical support for the United States or Israel by European capitals will be treated as an act of war. This is a clear attempt to fracture the coalition and keep European nations from providing overflight rights or refueling support. Meanwhile, the United States State Department has issued a Level 4 do not travel warning and ordered all United States citizens to depart Israel, the West Bank, Gaza, and the broader region immediately. This is a clear signal that the United States expects the security situation to deteriorate further before it improves.
There are also reports of internal unrest within Iran. Prime Minister Netanyahu addressed the Iranian people in Farsi, calling for an uprising. Are we seeing signs that the Iranian people are turning against the government during this crisis?
It is a mixed picture. We have seen scattered reports and social media videos of people in Tehran and Isfahan celebrating the news of the supreme leader's death. For a segment of the population, this represents a long-awaited opportunity for change. However, these celebrations are being met with brutal crackdowns by the remaining Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps units. In many ways, the regime is at its most dangerous when it feels its survival is threatened. The power vacuum at the top might lead to more autonomy for local commanders, which could mean more violence against protesters. Whether this leads to a popular uprising or a more consolidated military dictatorship remains the biggest unknown of this conflict.
Herman, as we look toward day 5 of this operation, what are the key variables you are watching?
First, I am watching for the hardest hits that Senator Rubio mentioned. If the coalition begins targeting the interim leadership or the power grid, the humanitarian situation will spiral. Second, I am watching the Strait of Hormuz. If the United States Navy cannot successfully escort tankers and reopen the waterway, the global economic pressure will become unbearable for many nations. Third, I am watching Hezbollah's threshold. If they feel the Israel Defense Forces are close to a decisive victory in southern Lebanon, they may launch their most advanced precision missiles, which would force an even more aggressive Israeli response. Finally, we must watch the internal stability of the Gulf states. The accidental downing of United States jets by Kuwait shows how thin the margin for error is for these nations caught in the middle.
It is a sobering assessment. The transition from a targeted strike to a regional war of attrition seems to have happened almost overnight. Before we conclude this SITREP, can you summarize the current status of the Iranian naval capabilities? We heard reports about Bandar Abbas being a major target.
Yes, the Iranian naval capabilities in the Gulf of Oman are reportedly severely degraded. The United States and coalition strikes on the port of Bandar Abbas have targeted the fast attack craft and the midget submarine fleet that Iran uses for asymmetric warfare. This was a necessary step for the coalition if they intend to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. However, Iran still possesses a significant number of mobile anti-ship cruise missiles hidden in the coastal mountains. Even without a formal navy, they can still pose a lethal threat to any shipping in the region. This is why the United States is organizing Operation Sentinel-2. It will require a massive naval presence to provide a continuous defensive umbrella for commercial vessels.
And what about the economic measures the United States is taking to stabilize the markets? You mentioned the Development Finance Corporation.
President Trump has ordered the Development Finance Corporation to provide emergency political risk insurance for maritime trade. This is a move to prevent a total collapse of global shipping. Normally, private insurers would walk away from a war zone like this, or charge premiums that make trade impossible. By having the United States government back these risks, they are trying to keep the oil flowing. It is a massive financial commitment and shows how seriously the administration is taking the threat to the global economy.
We will continue to monitor these developments as they unfold. And thank you for this detailed briefing. To our listeners, this has been a special SITREP episode of My Weird Prompts. We will return with further updates as the situation warrants. For more information and to stay updated, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and at our website, myweirdprompts.com. You can reach the show at myweirdprompts.com. Stay safe, and we'll be back with more analysis soon.
Thank you, Corn. We will be keeping a close eye on the transition to Day 5. The next 24 hours will likely determine if this conflict can be contained or if we are looking at a much longer engagement.
This concludes our SITREP for March 3rd, 2026.
We are now moving into the fourth night of the air campaign. The intensity of the strikes has not diminished. In the last 24 hours alone, over 1,200 munitions were dropped across 24 of Iran's 31 provinces. This level of sustained bombardment is designed to prevent any reorganization of the Iranian military. The coalition claims near total control of the airspace, which has allowed them to focus on the 300-plus mobile missile launchers they have disabled so far.
The numbers are almost difficult to comprehend. 1,200 munitions in a single day across nearly the entire country. Is there any indication of how the Iranian air defenses are performing?
Their performance has been sporadic. While they have managed some successful engagements, such as the tragic friendly fire incident we discussed, they have been largely unable to stop the high-altitude stealth assets and the massive cruise missile salvos. Most of their long-range surface-to-air missile systems, like the S-300, were targeted in the opening hours of Operation Epic Fury. What remains are shorter-range, mobile systems that are being used in an ambush capacity. This makes the airspace dangerous, but it does not prevent the coalition from achieving its primary objectives.
You mentioned the Iranian people earlier. Is there any word on the humanitarian corridors or aid being allowed into the country?
At this stage, there are no formal humanitarian corridors. The borders are effectively sealed, and the intense air campaign makes the movement of aid nearly impossible. The Iranian Red Crescent is doing what it can with limited resources, but the scale of the casualties and the damage to infrastructure is overwhelming their capacity. We are seeing a growing humanitarian crisis that will likely become a major focus of the international community in the coming days, especially if the conflict moves into the 5-week timeline the president suggested.
It is a grim outlook. We will continue to provide these briefings as long as the situation remains this critical. Herman, any final thoughts on the diplomatic maneuvers at the United Nations?
The United Nations Security Council is effectively deadlocked. With the United States and its allies on one side and the remaining supporters of the Iranian regime on the other, there is no consensus on a ceasefire. Most nations are focusing on their own citizens' evacuations and securing their energy interests. The diplomacy is happening in back channels and through direct ultimatums rather than through international bodies. It is a return to a very raw form of power politics.
Thank you, Herman. This has been a comprehensive look at a very dark moment in global affairs. We will be back with more when the situation changes. This is Korn and Herman for My Weird Prompts.
Stay informed and stay safe.
As we wrap up this briefing, it is important to reiterate that the situation is changing by the minute. The death of Ayatollah Khamenei has left a void that is being filled by military action rather than political succession. The interim council's ability to govern is being tested under the most extreme circumstances imaginable. The coming hours will tell us if the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps will double down on their regional strikes, or if the pressure from the coalition will lead to a collapse of the current command structure.
One final point to consider is the role of cyber warfare in this conflict. While the physical strikes are the most visible, we have received reports of significant disruptions to Iran's internal communication networks and command and control systems. This digital decapitation is running parallel to the physical one. It is likely why we are seeing such a disjointed response from different branches of the Iranian military. The fog of war is being amplified by the total loss of reliable information within the Iranian government.
That is a critical point. The integration of cyber and physical warfare is defining this conflict. We will look closer at that in our next report. For now, we are signing off.
Goodbye, everyone.
We will stay on this story.
The next report will focus on the Day 5 objectives and the impact of the energy blockade on European markets.
Until then, this has been the Situational Report for March 3rd, 2026.
We are continuing to monitor the situation in the Persian Gulf. The United States Navy's Fifth Fleet has issued a notice to all mariners to stay clear of the Iranian coast. The risk of mines and anti-ship missiles remains the primary concern for any vessel attempting to transit the region. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz is not just a military maneuver, it is a direct challenge to the global economic order.
And with the Qatar energy halt, the pressure on the natural gas markets is going to be immense. We have already seen prices in the United Kingdom and Europe jump by 20% this morning. This is no longer just a Middle Eastern conflict. It is a global economic emergency.
Precisely. The interconnectedness of the global energy market means that a strike in Tehran is felt at the gas pump in London and the heating bill in Berlin. The coalition's ability to maintain public support for this operation will depend heavily on how quickly they can stabilize these markets.
We will have more on the economic fallout in our next update. This is the end of our current briefing.
We will keep the lines open.
Thank you for listening to this special SITREP from my weird prompts. We are your hosts, Korn and Herman.
We will talk to you soon.
The situation in the Middle East is at a breaking point. The transition from a targeted strike to a regional war is complete. The death of the supreme leader has changed everything. We are looking at a new reality in the Middle East, one that will be defined by the outcome of the next few weeks.
The regional dynamics are shifting in ways we have not seen in a generation. The Gulf states are in a state of total alert, and the internal unrest in Iran could lead to a total transformation of the country. The stakes could not be higher.
We will be here to cover it. This is Korn.
And this is Herman.
Signing off for now.
Stay safe.
We are now concluding this situational report. The time is now 23:58 Universal Coordinated Time. We will provide another update at 0600 hours tomorrow or sooner if major developments occur.
The focus will remain on the ground invasion in Lebanon and the coalition's efforts to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. We are also expecting more clarity on the casualty figures from the strike on the school in Tehran.
A tragic situation all around. We will continue to report the facts as they are confirmed.
Until next time.
This is my weird prompts.
A SITREP special episode.
March 3rd, 2026.
Signing off.
One last thing to note before we go. The psychological operations are also in full swing. Prime Minister Netanyahu's address in Farsi was a direct appeal to the Iranian people to seize this moment. This suggests that the coalition is not just looking for a military victory, but a fundamental change in the Iranian state.
It is a high-stakes gamble. If it works, it could lead to a more stable region. If it fails, it could lead to a more radicalized and desperate Iranian leadership. The risks are enormous.
We will see how the Iranian people respond.
The next few days will be telling.
Indeed. Thank you, Herman.
You are welcome, Korn.
This concludes our broadcast.
Good night.
Or good morning, depending on where you are.
Stay vigilant.
We are out.
Right.
The situation in the Middle East remains the most critical story in the world right now. We are committed to bringing you the most accurate and up-to-date information possible.
We will be using every resource at our disposal to verify these reports.
Thank you for your trust.
We will be back soon.
This is the end of the SITREP.
End of report.
March 3rd, 2026.
23:59 Universal Coordinated Time.
Good.
Goodbye.
We are now moving into the 5th day of the conflict. The reports from the front lines are still coming in. We will have a full update on the Day 5 operations in our next scheduled briefing.
The focus of Day 5 is expected to be the remaining command and control centers of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The coalition is looking to finalize the degradation of Iran's ability to launch regional strikes.
It will be a critical day.
Very critical.
We will be here.
See you then.
This is my weird prompts.
SITREP Special.
Out.
That's now out.
The global impact of this conflict is only beginning to be understood. From the energy markets to the diplomatic halls of the United Nations, the ripples are being felt everywhere. We will continue to track these developments and provide the context you need to understand this rapidly changing world.
The importance of distinguishing between confirmed facts and unconfirmed reports has never been higher. We are dedicated to providing that clarity.
Thank you for joining us for this special briefing.
We will be back with more.
Stay safe.
Stay informed.
This is the final word for today's SITREP.
Final word.
March 3rd, 2026.
Signing off for the final time this hour.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
We are now concluding the recording.
Recording ends.
0000 Universal Coordinated Time.
March 4th, 2026.
The SITREP is complete.
Complete.
We have covered the leadership vacuum, the military operations, the economic fallout, and the diplomatic situation.
And the human cost.
Yes, the human cost.
It is a heavy day.
It is.
We will be back.
We will.
Good night.
Good night.
The situation in the Middle East is complex and deeply rooted in history. While we focus on the current events, the long-term implications will be felt for decades.
We will explore those implications in future episodes.
Looking forward to it.
Until then.
Until then.
This is the end.
The end.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
We are finished.
Finished.
March 3rd, 2026.
SITREP complete.
Out.
Out.
One final check on the numbers. 420 missiles and drones, 27 bases, 9 countries.
And the death of the Supreme Leader.
It is a lot to process.
It is the biggest story of our lives.
It truly is.
We will be here.
It will.
Okay, now we are really signing off.
Really signing off.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
See you in the morning.
See you then.
Honk. Gone note.
Out.
March 3rd, 2026.
SITREP.
Done.
Done.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
The report is finished.
The report is finished.
We have reached our target.
We have.
Good job.
You too.
Soon. Talk soon.
Talk soon.
Ow.
Out.
March 3rd, 2026.
SITREP. Finished.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
End of dialogue.
End of dialogue.
Signing off.
Signing off.
The SITREP is now concluded.
It is.
We have provided a full briefing.
We have.
We are done.
We are.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
March 3rd, 2026.
SITREP.
And I can really go out.
Out.
This episode was generated using Gemini Flash 3. Text-to-speech engine was Chatterbox.
Thanks for listening to our show, my weird prompts, where our thoughts go from slow takes to facts on cue. We change and follow through. My weird prompts, that's the flows from slow